Hey everybody, uh, this is a video to further expand what this crowdfunding is all about, what the show is all about, and who I am. Um, those of you who are fans of my work have heard this over and over before, but this is for the people who have never heard of this stuff before, are just jumping on for the first time because of Wellsville Nights. So please bear with me. This is going to be kind of a chunky video, but I wanted to really, I wanted to go in depth, and that's something that the main crowdfunding video really doesn't allow for. You know, you want to get in and get out, be concise as you can for those like 3 to 5 minutes. Hit the project home as far as what it's about, to get people invested. So this is just another video for anybody who has the time, who wants to sort of really hear the ins and outs of this whole thing. I'm a filmmaker from Rochester, New York. I was born and raised in Wellsville, New York. And I was born in the 70s. I was born in 1977. I grew up in the 80s. I consider the decade of the 80s the best decade of all time. I am obsessed with the 80s. When we were going into the 90s, I was still very much holding on to everything that the 80s had to offer. The pop culture of the 80s really informed who I am as a person. And so when I was very little, when I was 7 years old, I got a video camera, and for Christmas, thanks to my family, and I started making movies. I was a movie obsessed kid, TV obsessed kid, really pop culture obsessed kid. The toys, everything that we had in the 80s was just simply amazing. And so I've been making movies since I was a kid. And then in 1991, I started like a company called Low Budget Pictures. And from then on, I was just making my own comedy horror films. I did that for 20 years, got some distribution, then started Warlock Home Video in 2011, which is what it is right now, Warlock Home Video. And in that time, it's been 33 years making movies. I have a bunch of distribution deals. I've got like 64 movies. A whole crap ton of them are out there in the ether. You can get them on physical media. You can watch them streaming. They used to be on Netflix a long time ago. They're really cheesy, low budget, dirty, down and dirty, offensive, weird, silly, absurd comedy horror chunks of stupidity. That's really the bread and butter, you know? But, and let me just say this, like throughout everything that I've made, I've sort of I've infused my love of the 80s and the things that I still hold dear from that decade, and I put it into my movies. And so around 2015, when I was putting together my movie, The Weirdsies, I always have a pad, like a notepad with me, and I always write down ideas and whatnot. And one of the ideas was Wellsville Nights, which is a, I always thought it was ridiculous watching those teen soap operas. Prevalent in the late 80s and definitely in the 90s, early 90s on. You were getting, in the 80s we got Degrassi Junior High, and then the 90s hit. We got 15, and we got Swan's Crossing, and 90210 So 90210 is a little more like produced and well put together, whereas the other shows were raw. They were still shot on tape. So they had that like soap opera feel to them. And they were super dramatic, over serious, to a point where you're just laughing at the stuff. And so always in the back of my head, I thought, we've never tried to tackle a TV show before. And the way my humor is, the absurdity and the goofy and the horror elements, you want to get in and get out as fast as you can. And so a television, like a weekly 20 to 30 minute TV show really lends itself to my comedy and my brand of stupidity. So the idea of a show was always very appealing. And when I would write those ideas down, it was making fun of teen high school dramas, adding supernatural stuff. Because I would watch reruns of Dark Shadows, and that was always funny to me as well. That was a soap opera. It was shot on stages, shot 3 cameras like sitcoms, shot to tape. And sometimes there would be mess ups. A line would get messed up, or something would fall in the background, or you'd see a boom mic or whatever it was. And so that was not only fun because of the subject matter, because I'm a huge horror fan and have been since I was a youngin', but also because of the cheesiness of it. And so, as a teenager, it would make me laugh. And so I'd want to infuse all of that into this soap opera. Time went on. I would keep writing like little ideas down here and there for other movies, but also for this show. And I took I took a break. I took maybe a 4.5 year break after that Weirdsies. We did a couple things here and there, but I don't really consider them anything special. So really around the pandemic, when the pandemic hit, is when I dusted off this Wellsville Nights thing and started to take it seriously. And it really seemed like the project that I wanted to do next. And so I wrote a bunch of ideas down and really sort of fleshed out 100% really what I wanted the show to be. And I, got a hold of my cousin, Casey Bowker, who has been in a ton of my films from since he was a teenager. For people who do know my movies, he is known as the legendary teen ape in the films. So I got a hold of him, and I got a hold of Clint, my buddy Clint, who is part of our group. And Clint has been with us since 2011, and he's not only in my films, but he's also the main cinematographer of the films. But these two guys I know would really 100% sort of get what I was going for. And throughout the years, they knew that I've always wanted to do this type of show. So I got together with them, told them what I wanted to do, and then we developed a Bible, a pitch Bible, and an arc, a 4-season arc for this show. Who the characters were, I sort of already had it down because I wanted to bring some influences and some names of people that I grew up with in Wellsville. I wanted to bring that into the show. So I already sort of had the characters, the names and whatnot. And of course we wanted to do the stereotypes, which very typical in any 80s and 90s, either teen soap opera or teen sex movie or any of those. There's stereotypes. So we had to have those in the show. So we just mapped it out from season 1 to season 4. I knew what I wanted to do as far as the main thrust of the plot, with mixing the horror elements, the sci-fi elements, and then mixing all the trials and tribulations of the teen drama, but with my absurd humor. The goal was always to play the show straight, just as those shows were, to be as serious as possible, to act cheesy, to have that cheesy, barely can act vibe. I 100% wanted the feel, so I wanted it to be shot on tape. I wanted it to, if we could track down the cameras that they would use back then, or camera adjacent, to bring that quality out, then we were going to find those cameras, and luckily we did. We were going to put like a hazy light hue over it to give it that feel as well. We really wanted to do this right. And then we sort of doled out what each season was going to be and how many episodes. So it's 8 episodes each season. And I wrote episode 1, which is the pilot, and we already shot it. We shot that in 2022. I got together a group at that time. Some of them remained in the show and some of them did not. And we did like a cast read through of the first episode. But even before we did that cast read through on Zoom, we had written those 8 episodes. So I wrote the first episode. Casey and I wrote the second episode. I wrote the third episode. Clint and I wrote the 4th episode. I wrote the 5th episode. Clint and I wrote the 6th episode. I wrote the 7th episode, and Clint and I are writing the 8th episode. We're writing it over because it needs to be bigger, and it caps off that season, and it has a lot to do. So, so before we, did the pilot, we put the feelers out to see who would be interested in helping us make this. And we were able to raise about $4,500 to make that first episode. And we did, 2022, and we began to pitch it around. We actually pitched it to a few places and talked to some producers. And that was about 6 months worth of really pushing it and sort of seeing what we could do with that pilot to possibly raise money for the rest of the season. Through the producers, it became very apparent that, and to me, if we were going to do this, then we were going to do it ourselves. I am very independent in as far as what I want for my shoots, what I want for the overall outcome of these films, what I want for the characters, what I want for my dialogue. I'm very stubborn, and I don't break when it comes to changing a lot of my stuff. And, if I wanted to keep the people that I have, if I wanted to do it my way, then the only way to really do that is to do it my way, and for us to do it and not look for the outside sources as far as like other producers or companies to deal with it, because I don't want anything changed. This is a passion project. It's something that I'm very close to, and I really want to do it my way. Plus, a lot of these people who are with me, they're my best friends, but a lot of them have been working with me for over 20 years. And have constantly been there for these projects. And they're most of the cast. And then we got some new people in as well when we were putting together the pilot. And so we did, man. And it was great. The pilot was awesome. It was so much fun. After being away from directing for about 4.5, 5 years, it was a real revelation to be back out there and to be working with the gang again and working with some new people, but to feel refreshed and to feel ready and excited about something. And Wellsville Nights did that. It was almost 100% from page to screen, and I was very happy with that. I was raring to go for the next. Then I happened to have something very awesome happen, and I reunited with my boss, J.R. Bookwalter, who I had made 13 movies for in a span of 10 years through Tempe Entertainment. And then the beginning of 2023, we struck up a deal to make a new movie. So my focus went from Wellsville Nights to making my new feature, which I think is the 64th film. So all the time went into that, but on the back burner was, Wellsville Nights is next. Wellsville Nights is definitely what's happening next. So we shot the feature, my new feature, in the summer of 2023. And then almost immediately everything went right back into Wellsville Nights. And sort of knowing we were going to do this crowdfunding route. And that's where we are now. We're ready. I mean, the launch is now, it's happening. We've got a lot of very talented and cool people behind this project, and I do want to talk about them now, if you'll indulge me. So the cast is made up of members of the group. Fans of my stuff will know who I'm talking about when I talk about the group. But for you new folks who are jumping on, this is a group of people, like I said, who have been with me for over 20 years. They're my best friends, and they're not really actors, but they love to ham it up in my films. And through doing my stuff, they sort of have become these like micro-budget, infamous, character actors, and fans have grown to love them. And I couldn't do this project without a lot of them. And so, we've got Meredith Host, who is a longtime member of the group, and she's playing Rochelle Brillo. Now, Rochelle is an actual person that I grew up with. Not the last name, but the first name is. Andrew Baltus, who's also been with us for a long time. He's playing Janitor Jeff. We got Alec Lambert, who's been with us, who's playing Lance Makaduviak. And Lance is a character, it's the only character he's ever played in any of my stuff. But he was very easy to translate into this milieu, this whole thing. Clint Kelly, who is our cinematographer, but also has acted in a bunch of the movies. He is playing Nathan Rashim. First name Nathan, somebody I grew up with. Last name Rashim, somebody I grew up with. Desiree Seisha, and Desiree's been with us for a long time, been in a bunch of my movies. She's playing Vanity Van Brunt. We got Olivia Young, another person who's been with us. She's playing Carla Fappinelli. Carla is a person I grew up with. Brad Austin, I did grow up with in Wellsville, but he's been in the movies off and on throughout 30 plus years. But he's playing Principal Jabroni. And we got some new folks. So when we did the auditions for the pilot for Wellsville Nights, we found some really talented human beings. And not only did they do the pilot, but they also jumped on board for the feature that we just did over the summer. And they've become fast a part of the group. And, I am excited to be continuing to work with them. And with that, we have Evan Miller, who's playing Kyle Kilpatrick. We have Katie Keating, who is playing Corey, somebody I grew up with. Sporks Grant, her nickname is Sporks. And Deanna Naja, who's playing Jennifer. Who has a dark secret in the show, supernatural secret. And then we've got David Ottavino. Now, David is special because David actually did a few movies with us in the early 2000s. He did like 3 or 4 projects with us and then disappeared. And it wasn't until putting this project together that he popped back up in my life. And I was like, oh my God, you're here in Rochester? I had no idea. And now Dave's back in the fold. And Dave is playing Nick DeChamp, the jock of the show. Coming up, we have LBP and Warlock alumni Heather Maxon, who's going to be in episodes of the show, as well as Jason McCall, who is a longtime member of the group, good friend, fan favorite. he is playing Quasar Helix from one of our Warlock Home Video shot-on-video shorts, The Dingleberries, that character, and also the Weirdsies. So we have him coming up in a few episodes. Behind the scenes, we got, who helped me develop, Casey and Clint. They helped me develop the show, and they co-wrote 2 episodes each. Zach Oliveris, who is our cinematographer, he shot the pilot for Wellsville Nights, and he's coming on board shooting the rest of the show, whatever we're able to make, thanks to this crowdfunding. We have 7 more episodes to go. We will see how this goes. But he is shooting the rest of the show. He's also been responsible for all of the Blu-rays of some of the Low Budget Pictures and Warlock Home Video titles. He does a lot of stuff behind the scenes. He's basically a co-producer. He's an associate producer for sure on this show, along with Bobby Heckman. Now, Bobby Heckman, again, 24 years of friendship. He's been in and out of the movies. He's helped us produce some of the films, and he is an associate producer on this show as well. And he's in the show. And then, it's just and then of course the fans who just keep like pushing us forward and helping us out and helping get these projects made. And I've always said that like the last 10, 15 years, a lot of our movies wouldn't get made without the fans, contributing budget, coming out and helping, whatever it is, just their support. It's been amazing. So, and we could use that now. I implore you guys, if there is somebody who you feel that this project would appeal to, if they're nostalgia warriors, if they love the 80s and 90s, if it's something that like still they hold dear to them, and this is a project that you think would float their boat, please give them the link, tell them about it, spread the word as much as possible. If you can't donate, just please spread it to as many places as you think this show would appeal to. Any 80s sites, any 80s, and if you know any 80s podcasters, any 80s YouTubers who would be interested in something like this and maybe want us on the show to talk about the project, let them know. Please spread the word. We really want to get this out. And we really want to make this show. Right now we've logged, almost 2 weeks worth of time at the end of July into August to hopefully shoot this show. And it's really you guys, if this is something you want to see. Do you want to see us poking fun at 80s and 90s teen soap operas, teen high school soap operas? It's 30 and 40-year-olds playing 15-year-olds. The clothes are 80s and 90s. The tech is 80 and 90s. The dialogue, of course, absurd, silly, weird, gross, offensive, offbeat. There is some gore, which those shows did not have. But I think it's really gonna as goofy and weird as it is, I think it's gonna hit those nostalgia spots because of how accurate we're trying to be with the parody of it all. And you can, and on this site, you can check out the sizzle reel. We have the pilot sizzle reel. It's basically a pilot trailer. It's like a next week on Wellsville Nights type of thing, and you can see sort of what we did with this. There's certainly perks as part of this crowdfunding. Not a lot of physical perks, because I'm not. First and foremost, I think you should be donating to get the thing made, whether it be a movie, TV show, whatever it is, and not so much on the frivolous stuff that doesn't matter. But there is some great opportunities. If you just want to donate, awesome. But if you want to donate for something other than knowing that you're going to get the show, we have a few perks. And then one of them is doing a big sort of virtual online showing of the pilot, so everyone can get a real sense of what the whole show is, going from the pilot. The pilot is probably the tamest episode out that we made. What we're about to do is way goofier, much more absurd, and the sort of supernatural elements become more apparent throughout the show. So that's going to be fun to discover, at least for us, and I hope you guys think so as well. But that's it. I hope this was a little more informative. I hope you got some more juice out of it, and you can go forward knowing a little bit more about me, about what this show is, and hopefully you'll help us get to our goal. At the end of the day, when all is said and done, if we're able to shoot at least the next 4 episodes, we have a great spot in episode 5 that is a mid-season cliffhanger. And 1 through 5, at that point, we're going to throw up on Tubi or any of the streaming sites that will take us, and so you can see it free, and get a sense for it. Maybe a buzz will grow. Maybe you can, tell your friends about the show if you like it, and it'll grow and grow, and we'll be able to jump back on board and get enough money to make the next 3 episodes of the first season and beyond. We're hoping that with the streaming and taking it that way, lots of eyes will get on it, and we can get that buzz. We can get an audience going for it, and that'll help us going forward with the show and being able to do more seasons, certainly more episodes. So that's it. Please spread the word. Help us out. We hope you enjoy this weird ride. And I look forward to, fleshing the world of Wellsville Nights out. It's going to be fun. And especially with this group and knowing what we've written and knowing what is coming, I am super excited to bring this stuff to like-minded folk. And I hope you join in the fun.